So I've been playing with this upper for like a couple months now, and it's been nothing but problems. But I think I finally fixed it. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy Big Ball Vlogs, aka 210 Big Ball, aka Big Ball Shooting, and today I wanted to talk about this PSA Dagger upper that I picked up, I don't know, maybe like 4 months ago. I'm a fan of PSA. I like PSA. If you don't know who PSA is, it's Palmetto State Armory. I'm a fan of Palmetto State Armory. I know a lot of you guys, wouldn't be caught dead with anything but, $1,000 AR. But I've built pretty much all of my ARs from PSA. And when they started releasing products for like Glock, like their Glock clone, the Dagger, I was really interested in these products because, this is my Gen 2, like 20 plus year old Glock 19 upper that I've had since like I bought this thing when I turned 21 years old. And, when you go out and I had this thing machined, I had some, some cuts put in here. I had the front serrations put in here. Had this little, I didn't want windows at the time, but I had some machining done to it. When you go out and you spend money on getting these things machined out and, making them your own or customizing them, it gets really expensive. In fact, it gets to the point where you bought a $500 gun and turned it into like a $2,000 gun. And that's pretty much not my style because, as you guys know, I'm the budget shopper. So when PSA started releasing like these fully machined, really cool uppers for like affordable prices, and they're like complete uppers where they come with the complete upper build kit, the barrel. This one's got ported barrel. I don't know what a barrel is at the moment, but this one's got a ported barrel for like $200, man. It does. You can't even get it. Pretty much can't even get a slide like coated for like $200 these days. But when they started releasing these for like $200 and they were compatible with Glocks, I was really interested in picking one up because I had built a couple of my own Glocks using like inexpensive, like what is it called, Swanson from Mid Atlantic. I think they call Midway USA. And I really wanted to get something that was kind of like tricked out and tactical. So pick this one up from PSA. This is like a, I don't know, like a SW4. It's got the ports on the top. I got the ported one, so my barrel's got ports in it. You might have seen, oh, here's a barrel right here. So you might have seen when I got this a couple months ago, it's got ported barrel. Got some, some low profile cuts on it. I didn't really want anything with really big windows in them because if I did want to go out and play with this as a range gun, I didn't want to get it like jammed up if I drop it or something like that. And it's also got what they call that dragon cut on the front. And it's got this kind of different way of, grabbing it or racking it in the back. I liked it. So I picked it up. It was on sale for like $200. It's got the, it doesn't have the, what do they call that, Cerakote on it. I hate Cerakote because it's like paint. This is actually Cerakote and you can see how it's all wearing off. So I picked it up for $250 and it was optics ready. It's just like a really good deal. And you know what they say. Sometimes you get what you pay for. And that's what I thought when I got this, because for the last couple of months, this thing has been an absolute nightmare when it comes to reliability. Like I said, Gen 2 Glock that I've had forever, never had a reliability issue. This one, I couldn't get 5 rounds through it without it failing to feed. And I could not figure it out. So, reached out to PSA. PSA walked me through kind of how to like troubleshoot it myself. They've got a really good return policy, a really good like warranty policy, but he wanted me to try a couple of things before we returned it. And some of the things that he asked me to do, because I searched the ends of Google, by the way, and found other people who were having the same issue. So this is for you. He wanted me to try a couple of things. He wanted me to try the optic screw, because the optic screw, depending on what optic you have, can come all the way down and touch the extractor plunger, kind of fusing it in place and not allowing the extractor to function properly. So what I did was I popped the back plate, checked the plunger, checked the optic screw. I mean, it was nowhere near bottoming out on the plunger here. And then he wanted me to go through and kind of like, check the, functionality of the extractor, make sure it wasn't bonding up. I did that. I tried replacing pretty much all of the parts in all of my different guns. And I was like, it can't be, I thought it was the extractor, to be honest with you, but I'll get to that in a minute. But it can't be a part or a component, because whenever I swap out the parts from a reliable upper, it still had the same problem. So next thing I did was I said, well, let's break this down. If anybody's into like manufacturing or, any type of field, where you do, where's that magazine? Where you do like a root cause analysis and you kind of use different, kind of ways of methodologies to figure out what the problem is. I said, let's break this down and kind of figure out what the problem is. You have two uppers which, should work or function together, and they're not. So what's the difference? What's the change? And the first thing I went for was tolerances. So I broke out the mics and I started looking for all of the places that there might be a tolerance issue. Now, the way that I started that out was by taking a live round actually, and I painted it black like this. This is a snap cap that's been painted, but I use a Sharpie, a simple Sharpie. It's an old knife sharpening trick if you don't know. And I painted the brass on the live round, put it into a magazine, and then try to feed it into the chamber. And sure enough, what would happen every single time is this would stay out of battery. I mean, a substantial amount. It almost seemed like this is how far it was out of battery. I'll try to show you. It would feed about like that far and then jam up, right? So talking to the Palmetto State Armory guy, he said, okay, well, try polishing the feed lip. And I didn't fix it. But get back to the troubleshooting. I used that painted up brass round to find out where the binding points were. What was it grabbing on? Because when I took this apart like this and I tried to take this round and just hand slide it in behind the extractor from the back, let's see if I can get that to focus, just hand slide it in like that, it just felt like it was grabbing. And I was like, what is it grabbing on? I checked the extractor, I checked everything, and everything seemed to be working well. So I went for tolerances. I was like, maybe this one just was machined wrong, and there was a difference. So I broke out the mics. I went in, and pretty much it was spot on, or not, if not a little bit bigger intolerances than a factory Glock. So I'm like, that's not the issue either. And then I went in and I said, I just happened to be playing around with this thing, and I'm like, thumbing around with it. And I'm like, man, that is really, really sharp. That is actually super sharp. And that is what led me to my first finding. Yes, this machined upper is beautiful, but they didn't take the time, and maybe that's where you get what you pay for, to kind of like finish it out, to make it, make sure it was functioning properly without, I don't know, just sticking it in a box and sending it to you. Because what I found out was that almost every surface on the inside where this round would have to kind of like go by was super sharp and felt burred. You can rub your finger across it and it felt like it would cut you. And then when you rub your finger across the flat surfaces, it felt like it was a burr there. And I was like, okay, so now we're getting somewhere. So first thing I did was I grabbed a little jeweler's file and I started filing away at the burr on the slide pusher here that pushes around to the chamber, and tried it, and no, it didn't fix it. I was like, so I thought originally, my thinking was that the flat piece here was digging into the back of the round, preventing it from sliding up into the chamber, and that wasn't it. So then I looked a little bit closer, and like I said, I checked all my tolerances. I'm like, yeah, everything seems to be good. But when I look through, and I'll try to demonstrate this, when I look through the gap here, let me see if I can get that to focus. When I look through the gap here between the extractor and this side of the slide wall, it just didn't look symmetrical to me. It looked like there were sort of like unmachined corners. And what really stood out to me was, especially on the extractor side, it looked like there wasn't the same amount of space between the extractor and the back wall as I see in this slide and this extractor, which is all factory. And again, that kind of led me to the thinking that those corners were not super flush. They were not machined out correctly. And that's what the painted round was starting to show me. Whenever I tried to feed that in, I would see brass that was exposed on the corners. So then again, I took the jeweler's file and I went in and just went in there nice and light and just rounded out those corners, or not rounded them out, but squared out those corners to the point where I didn't feel a burr anymore. And I went all around the insides to just remove any burrs or anything that might catch that round as it is feeding into the chamber. And it feels like still I might have a little bit of work to do right here. And another thing I noticed was even the striker surface here seemed to be a little bit burred, maybe around the firing pin hole, because when I ran the file in there like so, I could feel the burrs grabbing the file. So I went through that a couple of times and, ran it underneath for the extractor to kind of clean that corner out. I don't think I have to, but I might actually remove that extractor just to get a nice clean surface in there, because it looks like there might be, like I said, burring all the way up. And sure enough, I put it back together, and I'm going to give you a demonstration right now. Give me all of my pieces here. We're going to put our barrel back in. We're going to grab our dummy mag, and by the way, these are snap caps, so everything is safe. I'll put one of those in. we're going to grab, this is not my, where's it at? Well, we can use this. Well, this is the one actually, by the way. We're going to grab our recoil spring, and we're going to grab a lower here. Slide those back together. Everything is clear. Drop the hammer. And like I said before, before I did this thing would stay out of battery that far because it would not allow that round to be pushed up underneath that extractor. And what I have to do at the range is I would have to smack that into battery or hammer it this way to get it to go into battery. And that was just, like I said, every 5 rounds. And it would not drop down actually from, if I were to drop it from the slot release, it would not drop down. It would just like compress rounds. So we're going to do a little test now. And we're going to do the slow feed test because that's where I found the most problems. If this thing were, if I were at the range and I was just working it, the inertia sometimes was enough to kind of push it into battery, but you would definitely feel that pause before it went into battery, like where it got stuck and then let loose. But the true test of this was what I call the slow rack test, where I just slide it back as I'm doing a press, like I'm doing a press check, and let it go and see if it feeds. So hopefully this doesn't make me look like an idiot because I thought I had it before I shot this video. I'll push it back, I'll let it go. Goes right in the battery. No issues at all. Before, when I did that, whenever I did that, you would just feel the grittiness. You would feel it like grabbing, and it would stop about right there. And like I said, you would have to either tap, bang, or hit it on the back to get in the battery. And now it's clear. So let's try that again. I'm gonna take another snap cap. I'm gonna load it in just to show you that this is not a fluke. Because like I said, I couldn't get like 5 to 6 rounds to this thing without it jamming up on me. We're gonna do a slow rack again. I'm gonna push it back. I'm just gonna let it go forward. Goes right in the battery. So there you go. If you're curious how to troubleshoot a feed issue with your Palmetto State Armory Dagger, I think that's it. Check those corners, check those burrs, get yourself a small little jeweler's file, go in there and clean everything out. And you want to take this to the range, but you should have a reliably cycling firearm. So that's it, man. I got some stuff to do. I'm definitely going to get back to the range. I want to show you guys some of my new toys. So if you're interested, like I said, I'm the budget shopper. If you're interested in seeing my journey to hit that 600-yard target out there, I just picked up this amazing scope off of Amazon for like, $105, $110 with a coupon for like 10% off. This is going to be my next review. So if you're interested in seeing that or seeing me, do some shorts or, shooting out at the range out to 100 plus. For some reason, guys bragged about shooting out to 100. I'm like, 100 is easy. I want to hit 600 to 1,000. So if you want to see that, stay tuned. I appreciate you watching. Peace.